Okay, the thing is working. Everything's working now. And we're coming to you in 3, 2, 1. his name really Kim? Is that it? That's his middle name?
That is his middle name, yep.
That's a shoot?
That is a shoot. Nicolas Kim Cage. He has a new movie coming out that we think is going to relaunch him. He's going to have a relaunching of his career. I mean, everyone knows of him, and he's still making films, but I guess this will make him mainstream again?
I mean, he is kind of mainstream, but sort of as he's mainstream as sort of an underground character, I guess you could say, or an ironic character.
Yeah, this. I feel like this is gonna be the 20s version of being John Malkovich, where everybody was just like it was very. Remember, that was very meta. Brought Malkovich back into this is gonna be the Nic Cage effect with the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Okay, yeah. So I texted you about this. That new trailer for that movie is fantastic.
Oh, it's great. It hit everything.
That's going to get the folks in the theater. That's going to sell some tickets.
Because
I think it's like it's. I thought it was like a small indie movie, and this movie makes it look like it's a high budget, high concept comedy that you would see Jim Carrey in or something like that.
Well, they got Pedro Pascal, right? They got the Mandalorian.
Shout out to Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, they got him. I mean, it's going to be, and they got Tiffany Haddish. So you're going to have the comedy in there. I don't know. It felt like it was just casted so well. And the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Pascal in the trailer alone made you want to go see it.
Yeah, and I wish we could play the trailer here without getting shut down because I would like to watch it again.
Shut down. Thank you, Steven Seagal. The rumors are true. He's an asshole.
It's true.
It's true.
Are we we can't be the first podcast to get a copyright notice from Steven Seagal.
No, and we won't be the last.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The Steven Seagal copyright thing comes with like an armbar. You get thrown into a table.
Just put you through a table. Yeah, him and his Doctor Strange goatee, or as people are calling it now, face mullets.
That's a thing? Mullet?
If you have a goatee, it's a face mullet.
Wait, are goatees bad? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying. Goatees are bad.
What?
I don't know how that happened, but it did happen. But maybe it could come back around because maybe it's like if you're thinking about how it carries food around, maybe it's a fanny pack for your face.
It's like a face broom.
A face broom. Cookie crumb catcher. So I feel like my hat keeps doing something weird. Oh, okay. Anyway.
You're very matchy today. Good job on coordinating.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Colors.
I went with the DC EU, and I went with the Zack Snyder version, so you can get the black suit in there. So, but yeah. So the unbearable weight. You want to? Yeah, let's dig right in. We already got Cage on the brain. Well, when did we not have Cage on the brain? I saw a great shirt, and it was actually during like a talk. It was like a TED Talk, and they were talking about like, I'm always watching the stuff about, simulation theory and stuff. And I don't know, he was wearing a shirt that said John Travolta, but it was a picture of Nicolas Cage.
I saw that too. That was in the Adam Project.
That was it.
New film on Netflix.
So it was a fake TED Talk done by Adam Ryan Reynolds' characters.
By Mark Ruffalo.
Father Mark Ruffalo, yeah. Oh, yeah, Jeff, you're going to pretend you don't know me even though you bought drinks pretending you're me. Good job.
That's a sweet Mark Ruffalo impression. Yeah, I like that shirt too. I'd like to get that.
Yeah, that was exactly. I wanted to go on like Fright Rags or wherever you can get that type of shirt. But yeah, it was really cool. But anyway, that's how we remember. I mean, he kind of went through some different phases, right? Especially you and I, we were introduced to him through Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I was not introduced to him on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. No.
You don't remember him? He was at All American Burger, right? He was one of the cooks.
He's in it, and he has small, like little. He doesn't even have a line in that.
No, he doesn't. He just looks up from the burger flipper spot. But I guess maybe it's not. We didn't know that we were looking at a legend until later when they came back, and you're like, Nic Cage was in Fast Times, and you're like, oh crap, and then you went back. And there he was.
No, it was like one of those cameos, like when you go back and watch Breakin', and you see Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing on the beach.
Right, exactly.
But no, I think the first thing I can remember him actively being in that I really liked was Raising Arizona.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that trailer. Somebody was talking about that. That was like one of the perfect movies, kind of like for that era. That it just really stuck with her. And all I remember is him going to double axe handle, being the wrestler, somebody, and then scraping his knuckles against the stucco ceiling.
That was hilarious.
That really just sticks with me. But yeah,
Hey, JJ's on. What's up?
JJ, what's up? So yeah, we're queso catcher. Yeah, there we go. So we're on the face, the ill face mellet. But yeah, so I guess I don't remember. I remember watching. So after Fast Times, he was in Valley Girl. We knew that. That was one of the boxes that I gotta admit I walked by and I didn't watch it, and I like knew of it. He was on the box there. He was in Rumblefish, which I didn't know.
Podcat's making an appearance.
Yeah, there she is. I told you, it's the planets. Here, there's our. That's gonna be our thumbnail.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect thumbnail. That'll get clicks. But yeah, you know what? To this day, I have not seen Valley Girl.
Okay, so it's not. I feel bad. It's not just me. I was listening to the podcast you sent me, which I didn't realize it was the Shudder podcast. When Quentin Tarantino was on there, and they were just basically talking about how, with Eli Roth, you have those movies that you're embarrassed to say you didn't watch when you're known for being film guys, and they said they lied all the time, like, oh yeah, I saw that, even though they didn't see that, and they would do that for really big movies.
You just have to do it.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody to be like, oh, what?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what they said they don't want to happen, so they just pretend. And I think that would be Valley Girl. So yeah, you're right. I mean, he was in all this other stuff. Rumblefish, which I thought was a sequel to The Outsiders for the longest time.
No, they just shot it with the same crew and the same sets and
Everything,
the same actors.
so it looked pretty much the same. Ain't gonna be no Rumble without me again. Nope, it's not a sequel. Cotton Club, I didn't know he was in that. Birdie Boy.
No idea he was in Cotton Club?
Yeah, he was in Cotton Club. He was Vincent Dwyer. This was 84, Birdie, Boy in Blue, Peggy Sue Got Married. So you're right, 87, Raising Arizona was pretty much would be considered his bigger role where he really got noticed.
Now, you know what his real last name is, right?
Coppola.
And he's a nephew of a certain director named Coppola as well.
Yes, but he made the conscious effort to hide that, right? I thought that's why he went with the name change.
No, yeah, for sure.
He was one of those, like, he's the Braun Breaker of 80s Hollywood. Like, I'm not going to tell you my last name, Steiner. I'm going to make it on my own. And I guess you can say he's right. But then it just became a cool footnote to know that he was actually a Coppola.
Those early roles, I think, before Raising Arizona were mostly cameos.
Yeah.
It seemed like. And you know what? He's got kind of a character actor vibe. He doesn't seem like someone who would become a leading man.
No. Well, it was just something about, let's see if we want to get that Monster sponsorship with the cat. But you're right. He had that look that Gene Simmons was talking about this, from Kiss, that he's like, there's something about these singing shows, the talent shows, their voices are too good. Where back then you're just looking for somebody who could perform, and it had a very distinct voice, not the best voice, but a voice. And I think that was kind of what was happening with actors too. Is like, look, we don't need you to look perfect. We just need you to have a presence.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of folks that look good.
Oh, can you get?
What do we got?
Oh, yeah, she was just sneaking her tail under there.
A lot of folks that like photograph really well look strange in real life.
Yeah.
They've got like odd features that just photograph really well.
Yeah.
And Nic Cage, I don't think he has it traditionally. I guess he looks like a star now, but isn't that just because we're used to his face?
I think, yeah, we're used
Because
to
like
it,
I don't
right?
think this you see this face and immediately think that's a movie star.
No.
Right? He's got kind of a average Joe face. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think it was just like, again, he was just that, he had that, but he still had something that people were willing to take. And I don't know, maybe it's some behind the scenes stuff happens, right? Like when he's on set, obviously he really gets into his craft, the art, if you will, acting. So maybe that's something to it. And then maybe you just basically impose your will on the simulation that, like, no, I am a movie star. Jedi mind trick the whole world. It could very well be. But yeah, after that, you still hear me okay, right?
I hear you fine.
I just, for some reason, my cups did that thing they did last week.
Is it doing it again? Because
Yeah.
I replaced it. All right, never mind.
But no,
I got to fix. Something's going wrong over there.
so all good. I can hear you. So after, he did Raising Arizona, and then let's see if, let's do a little movie. We're going to do a quick, we haven't done.
I got the IMDb pulled up as well. I'll follow along.
Okay, but we haven't done movie trivia in a long time, so I'm gonna act it out. Remember, we used to do act it out. Here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Snap out of it.
Moonstruck.
Moonstruck, exactly. So I feel like that's when he, between Raising Arizona and Moonstruck, that's when people really start. Okay, this guy is serious.
Because that was like an Oscar movie.
Those were Oscar movies, right? And I think at that
I don't think
time-
Raising Arizona won anything, but Moonstruck was definitely an Oscar movie.
Yeah, we didn't Cher won, didn't she?
Cher
I believe
won,
she
yeah.
won. If she could turn back time. I'm not going to let us get unmonetized for that. But yeah, then he was in a couple movies after that. You thought, okay, this guy is really going to be going for it. But listen to this after this. So 87 Moonstruck. We go into Vampire's Kiss, Never on Tuesday, Time to Kill,
Never on Tuesday. What is that?
Man in Red Sports Car, direct-to-video, uncredited cameo.
Oh, here's the breakdown. After their cars collide on a desert highway in the middle of nowhere, two friends and a woman they both like must wait for someone to pass by and help them. Unfortunately, those who do stop turn out to be criminals, eccentrics or wackos. Directed by Adam Rifkin.
Yeah, and he was uncredited in that.
Okay, your light's too bright. It's driving me crazy. Just vamp for 10 seconds.
Oh, I was just actually replying because we had Over the River and Through the Woods, Put the Kitty Back in the Pod cast, Con Hairs. No, we definitely, we're a fan of podcat cameos for sure. She actually, you coming back? She's thinking about it. She may be back. I don't know if maybe the smell of the energy drink. She's like, I don't need energy. I'm a cat. But yeah, so we had Time to Kill, and then we had Wild at Heart, Firebirds.
Are you a fan of Wild at Heart?
Yeah, I remember liking it. I don't remember revisiting it numerous times.
You like David Lynch films? That's a David Lynch. It's wild. It's crazy.
Sometimes. I can listen to him talk about like consciousness and transcendental meditation on YouTube all day. But some of his stuff, sometimes it misses me.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wacky.
Yeah, so it has
What's up, Fulton?
Yeah, it just depends. But then we got into, okay, this is when he's going for the Oscar, because I don't know. Oh, Zandali was direct to video. Man, he was taking some work.
What about Firebirds? I remember that was a big dollar theater movie.
That was, yeah.
I saw that trailer so many times, but I never saw the actual film. But I think it was around the time. There was a time in the 80s, kids, where basically everything was about attack helicopters.
Yeah.
Everything was about attack helicopters for at least 5 years.
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about this.
Well, attack planes and everything. Just the military attack flight vehicles.
What about, Roy Schreider, right?
Blue Thunder,
friend of
yeah.
choice. Yeah, that was like Knight Rider, but with like a helicopter, right?
It was like Airwolf, but on the big screen.
Airwolf, that was the other one. So yeah. Sorry, we went down that dirt road. But
then there was like, there was one with Clint Eastwood, like Firefox. Yeah, there's Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator.
Everything was just about a flying something.
Yeah, that was big. That was obviously, we got the Top Gun sequel, but that was also 87. But yeah, it was about flying, except James Garner, who did Tank. I think that was like 88, right?
Tank? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, we could do a whole show on Tank, but let's not sidetrack there.
Yeah, so anyway, so it wasn't until 1992, after Firebirds, after Zandali, Honeymoon in Vegas. That's when I think this was like the thickness of Nic Cage. We're going for the Oscar. And was he nominated?
For Honeymoon in Vegas? No,
Yeah.
That's like a wacky comedy. You're thinking of Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes, I'm thinking of least. Oh my God.
I need to double back to Raising Arizona.
Yeah, go back.
Because I think that if that movie had not happened and him not be in it, he would not be Nicolas Cage now. Because I don't think we'd have to look it up. I assume that movie didn't do that well at the box office.
No, well, it was considered an independent film. Like
Right.
and back then, that really didn't really translate to anything at the box office. That was very lit. Just like, you were going to get a limited release. You're going to watch it on VH. But it had everything about it was memorable.
It's the perfect
It
movie.
it was Coen's. I mean,
You're underselling it. It is the perfect movie.
Yeah.
Like that.
I agree.
If there's ever a film that's perfect, it's that movie.
Well, I mean, budget was 5.5 million and it made 30 million at the box office.
So
And
that's,
that's
that's a hit. Yeah.
1987.
So that's a hit.
Yeah,
That's it. But I think that really, because, and it's crazy, he never did another Coen Brothers movie, because I think that his quirky acting style elevated that movie so much.
Yeah,
You know?
I 100% agree with that.
I mean, and Holly Hunter's great. Everybody's great in that movie, but him as the lead, why did he never do another Coen Brothers movie?
That's the $1 million question, because that's like right up their alley.
It's time to do one now.
Yeah.
Nic Cage.
I
This
think
is
you
the
can
third.
do
This
that.
okay, and like I was gonna call this segment, I wrote it down on the thing, the third age of Nic Cage.
The Third Age of Cage.
The third age of Cage.
I like that. Yeah, there it is. That's going to be the title
So
on that.
currently we're in the first age of Cage is what you're going over right
Yeah,
now.
exactly. We're going over the other. But you're right. Just seeing him on that box art was great. Did you know Barry Sonnenfeld was the cinematographer on that?
Yep. He did a lot of cinematography in the early 90s, late 80s.
Wow, I had no idea.
He's great. Yeah. Him and also Jan de Bont, but that's a whole other nerdy discussion. But yeah, he was a great cinematographer for a while before he became a director.
Oh wow, did not know that. That is cool stuff. But yeah, I was just listening to another podcast, and they said for that time, that's when people consider that the classics that you look back on, for sure, like independent, classic, powerful performances, and like you said, it could be the perfect movie. I can hear it in my head. I hear it in my head.
That sequence where he goes to get Pampers
Oh yeah,
is just one of the, like, they should show that to kids in film school and then fucking kick them out.
yeah.
Because that's the only thing they need to see.
Yeah, it's like, you're done, go back into the wild. No, it's funny you say that. And two, it wasn't, I guess it's an age thing, but there was somebody, do you remember, it was like five years ago in our other video life, we had the Halloween contest, and somebody actually who just had a baby brought in their baby, and they went as Nic Cage. And his wife dressed up as Holly Hunter with the police costume, and then they carried the real baby, and they won for like We're Raising Arizona.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that?
No, I don't remember that
Yeah,
costume
shout
at all.
out, and it won. So I mean, it translated. Like, there were some people that might not have got it, but the film fiends, if you will, they got it.
Wow, no, I missed that.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good costume. All right, so we jumped to, and yeah, I'm sorry, I did mix up Honeymoon in Vegas and Leaving Las Vegas.
But here's the thing about the first age of Nic Cage is we have mostly cameos. He had Raising Arizona, which is the greatest film of all time, probably. And then he's got Wild at Heart with David Lynch, which is, if it's not your jam, it's not your jam. But it's my jam, and I think it's awesome. But a lot of it is just cameos and things that didn't really take off all that well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so from Honeymoon in Vegas, he's got like Amos and Andrew, which was like, I think that was like a comedy where he's handcuffed to Sam Jackson.
Yep.
And then Guarding Tess, where he's guarding the First Lady. A bunch of dollar theater stuff. And if you know, you know what I mean when I say that.
Yeah.
Dollar theater stuff. It Could Happen to You, which is a really nice movie, where he wins the lotto. Have you seen that one?
Oh yes, I do remember that. That was 94.
And then he had, let's see, Trapped in Paradise, which I really think should be revisited as a Christmas classic. Maybe you could call into Central Ice Lib TV and ask
see if
them to
they
play
play
that
it.
one day instead of March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Oh my God, I forgot about that with John Lovitz and Dana Carvey.
It's really good. It's
Oh,
really good.
wow.
I don't know why it just kind of came and went. It's a really great movie.
I mean, again, his body of work is pretty incredible when you go through here.
What did you say? 100 films?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, it's a lot of scrolling, but
So-
it's strange. So this first block, would you argue that the first age of Cage ended with Leaving Las Vegas in 1995? So that took us from about 82 Fast Times right to 95 Kiss of Death and Leaving Las Vegas.
Leaving Las Vegas was the transitional point.
That was
to
the end
next age
of the
Cage.
first age of Cage, because obviously the next three films are classics.
No, more than 3.
Well, I mean, just meant like right out of the gate, back to back. Just think, when we go in '96, he did The Rock, and then '97 he did Con Air and Face Off. And I remember the excitement for Con Air and Face Off. I remember the excitement, and that Face Off is when Travolta was coming into a new age, right? That was a little bit after
Fiction
Pulp
had just
Fiction.
happened.
Yeah. So I just remember like those were first day viewings for me. And just think, those were 3 in a row. 3 what we would probably call required viewing, right?
Were you a Leaving Las Vegas fan?
That was the one that I felt like he was going for at the time.
He won the
I
Oscar
wasn't.
for that one.
He did win.
Yeah.
Okay. That one I remember being like sad and depressing, and I had nothing against his performance. It's just like at that time, for where I was ready for the next age of Cage.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that movie. I had read the book for some weird reason. I don't read a lot of books. Someone told me, I had heard about it, and then I saw the movie, and Nic Cage was great. It's a great movie. But the thing that's crazy is he does that movie where he plays an alcoholic, wins the Oscar, right?
Yep.
And then leans into what? Hardcore action films.
Yeah.
Big budget action films.
Oh yeah, like he utilized that. He's like, okay, I made it. I'm a star, and he was front and center.
Yeah.
He was front and center on all 3. And think of this: those 3 movies that The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off.
We need
We're
to dive
talking-
into each of those specifically.
Specifically, because we're talking what, 20 years later? Is it 20 years? I can't do math.
More than 20.
Yeah, but think, they transcend time and space because you can pull clips, GIFs, and sound bites from all 3 of those movies that are still relevant to this day. The picture you pulled up, that's probably the most popular GIF that's out there when you're just like, somebody's like chill, relax. I mean, that picture. I mean, and that was, obviously that was Con Air.
So what do you think about the theory that which The Rock is good, it's in the Criterion Collection.
Yeah.
It's one of those action films that sort of like set the tone for most of the action films after it. But what do you think of the theory that, what was it? Sean Connery's character is actually James Bond.
Oh, I've
heard this theory?
never heard that.
So apparently there's a theory that Sean Connery is essentially playing James Bond older.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, now you want to watch The Rock, right?
Yeah, no, I 100% want to watch The Rock. Wow, I had no idea. I mean, I just remember, again, at that time, loving that movie. And I lined up for all of them. But yeah, for sure, The Rock, just because my mom her James Bond was Sean Connery, for sure. So I remember even, she was in her 60s around. I remember she was just like, we're going to see The Rock. And she was going for Sean Connery. I was going for Nic Cage. It's because it's him. He's the Rocket Man.
Yeah. I think I appreciate The Rock. I think it's a good film. It's probably not my favorite of this era of
That
Cage.
trilogy, right? In a way, that's the Nic Cage Second Coming trilogy.
That's the Nic Cage action trilogy, I think, that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
But I honestly prefer Con Air to The Rock.
I mean, I can't say no.
The Con Air is that's like I don't want to be cliche. It's like cinematic heroin, but it's like that. It's just like the feel good action movie that you always want to see, and it's perfect. And Nic Cage's performance is just over the top enough to not be ridiculous.
Yeah,
but it's also pretty ridiculous. But that's a perfect summer blockbuster action movie.
Oh, 100%. Well, I mean, you can even say his hair, right? That was a big. If the internet was around back then, it would have been a big deal because I think a lot of people talked about the Con Air hair. And this was pre-Twitter. I mean, I may have been chatting about this on AIM, right? The Con Air hair.
You know what was even as spectacular as the hair is Nicolas Cage's super kicks in that movie.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if he has any martial arts training, but you could not tell in that movie from the kicks.
What a freaking great premise! That I would love to go see it. Like if we get like a showing here in Austin, I'd love to go see that. Just a bunch of convicts and prisoners getting transported on a plane. That's freaking great. And then you had what's his name in it too? He played the officer.
Everybody's in that movie.
Yeah, Cyrus the Virus was John Malkovich. We were just talking about
You
that.
got Danny Trejo, Dave Chappelle, Steve
Chappelle.
Buscemi.
That's right.
One of the greatest casts of all time.
John Cusack was
John
in this.
Cusack is in that as well.
Just coming off his, he was no longer the 80s guy. He was in an action movie playing. I just remember he wore those 90s type sandals with his suit, right? That was a big part of his character. But yeah, have you watched it lately?
Yes, I watch it every week. It's not a joke.
No, I know.
That's a shoot.
I know you're a huge fan, and I feel like it was a point in time that captured an essence that it doesn't matter if you're ever going to think that anything, whether it's usually if wardrobe looks dated, but the content itself feels timeless.
The wardrobe doesn't look dated in this movie, though. That's the thing. It's pretty smart. Mostly everybody's in prison garbs. They're all just wearing denims.
Yeah, so that did help.
But
right?
I mean, it just does everything. It takes cliches past the point of absurdity where they come around back to making sense again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's a perfect movie when, everything Nic Cage says, and he's the most, he's like the most, moral dude ever. You know what I'm saying? He just wants to get home to his daughter. He only went to prison because he had to beat the fuck out of a guy for disrespecting his wife. It wasn't his fault.
Right.
The government trained him to kill. The government trained him to kill. It's not his fault.
What is he supposed to do with these tools?
That's right. He's a government trained killer. It's not fair that they put him in jail.
Yeah. I agree. So here's the thing that really sticks out to me, and I don't know if this is a good thing or bad. It's the only part about this film. I'm not sure why it happened, but I guess this is what's going to scream that I was a movie that was made at the time period that it was made. The song was Trisha Yearwood, "How Do I Live?"
What about it?
It's just that because that song, I feel like that song was just like something that's going to just keep that portion back in time.
I feel like you have not been to dive bar karaoke in a little bit.
Oh no, I'm not saying it's a bad song.
That's a staple. That song is very much in the mindset of a lot of folks today.
No. Again, and I'm not saying it's a bad song, but what I'm saying is when you hear, say, Steven Tyler singing, I don't want to close my eyes, you think of Armageddon, and it wouldn't be the song that you would call a match, but those songs, I think those songs I wouldn't consider timeless. Not saying they're bad, but it's going to remind people the time period that the song is made in, if that makes sense. That it's not going to, and I don't mean that as a detriment. I was like, oh, I remember that song. But if you were just watching the movie without that song, like you said, this could be a movie that was made last year. But the song is what's going to keep it hinged to the time period it was made. Because it brings me back. I consider songs bookmarks in time. You listen to a song, it's like, oh, this is when I was in high school. Oh, this is when I got my ass kicked. Oh, this is when something good happened to me. So when you hear those songs, especially movie soundtrack songs, it could shackle it to the year that it was made. Because songs, even when songs are timeless, they will keep it locked in the time period, right? So I think, okay, this song is 1997. And maybe that's not a coincidence, because wasn't Armageddon around that same time?
This is a couple years after. Because
right?
I think 95 to like 2000 was peak Michael Bay.
So like the power ballad just keeps it there. And again, I don't mean that as an insult, but I think that's what keeps it locked in time.
I disagree. I think Con Air is timeless.
The movie.
I think it transcends all barriers as far as like blockbuster cinema filmmaking. Because like, what do they even? What come? The only thing that come like I feel like the Fast and the Furious series right now is trying to grab a lot of Con Air vibe. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yes, you're absolutely. That just hit me. That is probably the perfect comparison of are we going to look back at the Fast series the way we look back at the Nic Cage action trilogy?
Some folks are, I think, but the Nic Cage action trilogy is just. I mean, when you talk about The Rock, Con Air, and Face Off, we haven't even gotten to Face Off yet.
No.
Which is, if you were one of the kids at the time that was hanging out at the video store a bunch, you had already seen John Woo movies by that point,
Right?
And you had seen he had already crossed over to mainstream U.S. films. He did The Replacement Killer. No, he didn't do Replacement Killers. He did Hard Target, which was actually
Hard Target. Yep,
Hard Target, which is great actually. But you hadn't seen him do his classic sort of two-gun gangster film.
Yeah.
And then you get Face Off, which comes out of nowhere. And just, for a lot of people, that's like the movie Bible. People swear by Face Off as an action movie.
Well, think of
is there a better action movie? I'm not sure.
You nailed it. Cinema Heroine is this trilogy, and it's because, again, we were just talking. I mean, look, that it's 2022, and a Face-Off shirt made it into the Adam Project. That's how it's transcending time. And you're absolutely right that, think of this, that premise back then was a huge stretch. Like, I'm literally going to take this person's face off and switch it, and you're not even going to, so it was already, if somebody pitched you to that, they're going to be like, nah, that's not going to work. That sounds crazy. What about the body? What about everything about it? But you went in and saw that movie and gave zero foxes about that premise being a stretch. And the plausibility, you were all in with it.
Hey, what about the magnetic boots?
Oh, I forgot about the magnetic boots. I probably have not. I've rewatched this a bunch of times. Probably not as much as you have.
I wonder did John Woo come up with the script for this? I wonder who, because I picture, someone pitching this to John Woo and him thinking it's awesome, or is he pitching it to the studio and trying to explain to them why Nic Cage and John Travolta swapping faces and magnetic boots would be a good idea for a movie?
Written by Mike Werb and Michael Collery. So I don't.
For a lot of folks, that was the first introduction to like the Hong Kong cinema action style. They hadn't seen it yet.
Oh no, it was
because I don't know. I don't know if you were back in the day hanging out at the video store. If you rented Hard Boiled and
I remember
the
Hard Boiled.
Killer. Hard Boiled.
Oh, the
is
Killer.
insane.
Yes. Yeah.
And so now you've got this guy. You've got the guy who did Hard Boiled, making a $100 million action film with Nic Cage and golden guns.
Oh man, no, it was. Oh yeah, and they're going to make a cameo in his film coming up. In that, so here's a question. Again, Cinema Heroine. These three films. How did these three films escape a trilogy or a sequel?
I think it was a different time. Now pretty much all of blockbuster Hollywood is very IP focused. At the time, they were still willing to make an original concept.
Yeah.
Now you can only make an original concept on Netflix. Everything that's going to the theaters is an IP, a board game, a book, whatever, a breakfast cereal.
Yeah.
And they turn it into a movie. So back then, they had an original idea. They wanted to do more, but those loose ends were not already tied up. So you've got you got Pattinson doing the current Batman. I'll bet you anything he's already signed up for 3 movies.
Yeah,
that's part of the deal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They didn't realize
they lock
we
in.
Need to lock people in for 3 face-offs. That's 6 faces. We need you for a 6-face deal.
A 6. They should just call it that, not a 6-picture deal, 6-face deal. So here's another serious question. Since I know I love these things, but again, I think you take the love a little bit deeper than I on these 3 films. Out of these 3, which one would you like to see revisited as a requel?
As a requel,
Which one?
zero.
None of them.
None of them.
None of them.
None of them should be touched as a requel. Which one I would like to see revisited as a sequel? Con Air, 100%.
Okay, Con Air. So you just want a straight up sequel.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No requel needed for me. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I think like there's a tweet that someone put out once. I think whenever, because now we've got streaming services, we've got everything, and they're taking all kinds of old IPs and redoing them, whatever. And someone put out a tweet that just said, "We demand Con Air 2," and I retweet it probably every other month or so. Because I think it's important. We do demand Con Air 2, even though I heard Nic Cage said he would never do he hates that movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, although like now you think, I wonder after this film coming out, it's going to be a hit. We're going to be there first day. I wonder if he would revisit it for the next age of Cage.
Whatever. I don't know what studio made Con Air, but please, I think it would be a solid idea to just go ahead and pony up the cash and make Con Air 2. Get the whole cast back. Get them all back, even though they're all huge stars now. Get Danny Trejo, Dave Chappelle, Steve Buscemi.
You can get them all.
Get them all back. And the Bubblegum Shrimp guy as well.
Oh, that's right. He was Netflix is here's the problem. Netflix has the most money out of most of these studios, and you'd be getting it direct to Netflix. Would you be okay with that?
If that's what I got to do, yeah, I guess so.
But I understand seeing it.
Netflix is kind enough to throw their movies in the theater for a week.
That is a nice new feature. I was actually really close to going to see The Adam Project because I do want the theatrical experience. But yeah, so that cinema, that trilogy right there, it could be argued that that's when he started, the age kind of simmered down, because he came out with a 1, 2, 3, and those movies everybody loved.
Basically he coasted on those movies for the next few years because he didn't have a whole lot of success after that. They were successful movies, but he coasted on that heat for a while.
Well, DL, I'm gonna just say it here, and it's on the YouTubes that I can't take it back. I fucking loved City of Angels.
Oh yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It made me cry.
You seen the original?
No, I've not seen the original.
It's a remake of a movie called Wings of Desire.
Oh, okay. No. Oh, yeah, Wings of Desire. I did not see that. I was a huge fan of that, and it is a movie that I would put. There's like a spiritual top 10 type movies that, like, if you want to be moved by something that goes beyond any kind of theology, and I think it's a little bit more accepted right now. And to me, that's kind of one of them.
Yeah, no, that's a good movie.
Dennis Franz seeing his ass, but if you already watched NYPD Blue, you already were familiar with that.
You should watch Wings of Desire, the movie that's based on.
I am actually going to absolutely do that.
There's I forgot who directed it, but they were way ahead of the ball on a lot of things. There's how the premise is in Wings, they're like angels and they're observing stuff, right? And they can see, they're watching all the time, and they basically see people's lives.
Oh, okay.
So it's in City of Angels, right? That's what's going on.
Yeah.
In Wings of Desire, it's the same premise. It's all the same story. But there's this whole thing they do where the guy, I guess, who would be the Nic Cage character, is watching the actor who plays Columbo.
Peter Falk?
Peter Falk. And they actually got him in the movie to play Peter Falk. And the angel character is watching him shoot Columbo.
Oh.
And then watching his
Man.
side conversations where he's thinking about how he's acting and stuff like that. And it just adds a level of, I guess, realism to it that it'd never been done before. I think that's part of the reason. I don't know why they didn't do it in the actual remake, but that was a big part of it.
That's crazy. That's pretty meta for, when was that? 60s? 70s?
No, I think it was only a few years before they remade it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to check that out. Here's the only thing I might struggle missing. And I don't want the world to see me.
And we've been kicked off YouTube.
And not for the reasons you think, but yeah, Renato got that right away. That I can't listen to that song and not think of the scenes there, because it was such a swerve that it just blew me away. That oh my God, that's just this is, and it's such his life, right? You just be careful what you wish for. You might get it all, and then some you don't want. that's pretty much what happened on that, and that was Meg Ryan before the plastic surgery went a little cuckoo on her.
That
Right?
sold a lot of records. That movie.
Yeah, I think so. So that was
Who sings that song again?
that is. Let me pull it up here. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's one of those things that you're like, I didn't expect you to ask it, and then I didn't know what it.
Nobody ever thought they'd have to go back and figure out who
Goo Goo
sung
Dolls. Oh
Goo
my
Goo
God.
Dolls. There you go.
Why didn't? Yeah, Goo Goo Dolls. But so after that, that was 98. So he was coming off. I was like, okay, we're simmering down from that. And Renato is just like he's a little bit.
That was a big hit, though.
Yeah.
So he's still having hits.
Oh yeah, there it is. Goo Goo Dolls was such a great punk band. Just before City of Angels, they shifted to pop rock. I guess they would be considered punk back then, right?
I don't remember anything.
Well,
he did
Renato,
before
he
that.
was in. I believe he was like in a punk band. So I trust his judgment on this. Didn't they just? What was it? What was it? I thought wasn't no, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Oh, I thought Dave Grohl, right? He just had that movie that just came out, right? That horror flick that just came out. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know the Studio 666.
That's it. Yeah, that was it. So I don't know. That just popped in my head. But let's not go down the dirt road. So after that, he had some ones that had the same type of vibe, but he was getting a little bit grittier, and that was 8mm, bringing out the dead. I felt like those. We got Dark Cage. The dark age of Cage.
This is like him trying to work with big directors now, because you've got Snake Eyes, which came right after, which is Brian De Palma, which is way underrated. Also, you should revisit that if you. The first shot of the movie is like 40 minutes long or something like that, and then what was it? 8mm was actually the follow up to 7.
Oh, like
the guy who wrote 7, 8mm was after that blew up. This was his next.
oh,
script.
okay, spiritual sequel, not an actual sequel.
Not an actual sequel, but it
Spiritual
was like
sequel,
the
gotcha.
guy. Yeah, the dude who wrote 7. This was his next script, and then Bringing Out the Dead was Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, and what did you think of that one? I remember it being really dark.
I didn't love it. You know, at the time I was a little disappointed. It's Nic Cage and Martin Scorsese. It didn't all really come together for me. And I've revisited here and there. It's okay. I would say it's one of the lesser Scorsese's.
Okay, yeah, I can buy that. Yeah, because I just remember it being. I just remember like not only dark, not content. I just remember the movie being really dark, and it's just like you really. Nic Cage is kind of known for the sad eyes, right? Sad eyes. I think that really he brought that out. But 8mm, that's when he really started getting in. That was all about the snuff filmmaking, right?
Yeah.
That actually had a pretty thick cast too, right? You had Joaquin Phoenix and James Gandolfini.
It was a big movie. Like I said, it was the 7 follow up.
Okay.
The spiritual sequel.
The spiritual sequel. All right, so then after that, this is when he's okay. Like the next set of films we had. Right, Gone in 60 Seconds. So I think he was going to revisit, like, okay, I'm going to get back into the action films. And I feel like I remember people digging that. What are your opinions on Gone in 60 Seconds?
It's passable. I don't think it's entirely all that memorable. It's an okay heist movie, but I think it's one of the lesser Cage films.
Because you had, again, another thick cast for that time.
It's another remake.
I mean, you had Angelina Jolie, Giovanni Ribisi, hot 90s actor Robert Duvall, Vinnie Jones. Yeah, I mean, Will Patton. All right. So, I remember that box art. I mean, obviously you get those on there. So I think that was him, again, leading into the star power, the star cred that he earned.
He's action guy at this point. This is Nic Cage action star.
And do you think that now, all of a sudden, after that, he started to get kind of burnt out on that a little bit? Because then he went into Shadow of the Vampire, Christmas Carol, the movie. Oh, Wind Talkers. I do remember Wind Talkers. That was, again, that was that.
I think that was another John Woo movie.
Was that John Woo? Wind Talkers. Yeah, let me see. Yep, directed by John Woo. What are your feelings on? Oh, we got Mark Ruffalo in that one too.
I don't think I ever saw Wind Talkers.
Okay. I don't really remember. I mean,
so now we've got a lot of Nicolas Cage sprawl going on because he's a huge action star. He's way over. He's got an Oscar. So at this point, they're just throwing roles at him. Anything he wants to do, he can do. So he did Gone 60 Seconds, The Family Man. I don't know what's going on there. Captain Corelli's Mandolin.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, I never saw. Probably didn't see I didn't see anything in this gap up until Adaptation.
oh yeah, that was his meta, and I think that's when he started leaning into, should I be doing something else other than action? And I think here's
Well, not quite yet. I think took a little while.
Yeah, there's still another one coming up we're going to talk about. But I think here Renato has a good comment I want to share. So Ethan Hawke once said that his favorite actor is Nicolas Cage because Cage still channels that type of acting that is more common in live action theater than movies. And I would agree with that. Even if you go to the Nic Cage gif that just like jumps right out at you when it does that.
He's a human gif.
He is a human gif. I just feel like he had, I agree, I can totally see that. He has that energy that he really just like, it's got to be something else. Like if you're just somebody that's like in acting for fun and then you have to do something, some kind of scene with Nic Cage, you're going to be like, holy shit, you're going for a ride. You're going for a ride.
He commits, and that's why he's stistill around. That's why he's still great.
Yeah, and he
does not
commit to the bit. Yeah,
he commits to the bit. Whatever he's doing, he's in it 100%. Whether he's doing, a $200 million action movie, or if he's doing, a bit part in a straight to video thing.
Yeah,
you get 100% Nic Cage.
You get all Cage, and we're gonna talk about a little bit in the third age of Cage.
So from Adaptation, we've got more kind of like sprawl. We've got
for Adaptation, wasn't that a follow up to what we were talking about with? Was that being John Malkovich? Like that was after Adaptation, same guy,
that was
right?
That was Charlie Kaufman's follow up movie.
And again, I feel like John Malkovich is has a very similar trajectory where he kind of went through these different iterations, not as thick as Nick, but I feel like the same type of people would be willing to do something like being John Malkovich with the unbearable weight of immense
100%.
talent.
Why doesn't he do more? Where's John Malkovich anyway?
I don't know. Every year I watch his SNL skit where he's reading "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" to those kids, and I laugh every freaking time. We talked about that. Pon Natal, he's coming for your toes.
That's a good sketch.
Yes. So the next one we did that was a producer. Matchstick Men. I do remember that. I don't remember watching it.
More Nicolas Cage sprawl.
Sam Rockwell. Yeah, that's his sprawl. And now he went back into action with National Treasure,
which I feel it was a hit, but sort of a goofball kind of Indiana Jones rip.
Yeah, like I don't know if it was supposed to work as well as it did.
No, I think his performance in it puts it over. If it would have been some other, whatever, straightforward kind of actor in that, I don't think it would have done as well because it's pretty cornball. But they were doing a lot of that at the time, right? You had The Mummy, you had all kinds of things like that where everybody just wanted to do adventure.
Dude, but Nicolas Cage, Harvey Keitel, John Voight. I got John Voight's car. Diana Kruger, Sean Bean. I mean, that's pretty. Christopher Plummer. I mean, that's pretty thick casting there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's pretty cool. So I think he started leaning into that credit. Now the question is, and I'm curious, when does the second age of Cage end? Now that I'm going through this.
I think the second age of Cage ends officially. Let me see it. I'm not exactly sure. I think it's at World Trade Center.
Is that when it?
World Trade Center was his last sort of high, famous director, high concept, sort of like Oscar type movie, right? This is from Oscar to Oscar contender. He did Leaving Las Vegas, and now we get to World Trade Center, which they made in 2006.
Okay,
and it's sort of like gunning for another Oscar there, and Oliver Stone directing and everything like that. And I think that kind of caps off the second age.
You nailed it. Okay, that is right. Because again, the first age ended with the actual Oscar, And now we'll say the second age ended. And that's almost another decade period, 2006. He went another 10 years. And then World Trade Center. Yeah, I think he definitely went for the Oscars. In the same year that he became famous again with an Audible gif of "Not the bees," right, with the Wicker Man.
Right. So right after World Trade Center comes The Wicker Man, which was a massive fail.
Yeah. I just remember "Not the Bees."
It seems ridiculous to remake a movie whose entire sort of like fame or notoriety is based on a twist, and everybody knows the twist by now. So why do you remake that?
Yeah, I get it.
Anyway, so he did. What was it? He did.
Oh, I forgot he
Wicker
was
Man. Ghost Rider. He was Ghost Rider.
Right.
Back before superhero movies were a thing.
Right. And you think, and yeah, now with multiverse stuff, does he build up enough cred to make it into the MCU as a variant of Ghost Rider? Because the rumor is the next Ghost Rider is going to be Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead. So but everybody knows Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider. But Ben Affleck is not going to be a variant of Daredevil. So do you think that Ghost Rider is going to go down with Ben Affleck's Daredevil and Josh Brolin's the Western one that he was in? Do you think you think there's going to be no variant?
What? I don't understand your question. What are you asking?
Is this next movie coming out going to give him enough cred that you're going to want to see him as a variant Ghost Rider?
I'll ask you the question. Would you rather see Nic Cage as Ghost Rider or Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider?
I want to see Norman Reedus.
Really?
Yeah, I want to see Norman. There's some, because I don't feel like they let Nicolas Cage be full on Nicolas Cage. If you're giving me the Nicolas Cage from back in from Nicolas Cage to some of the later movies when you can tell it was full on Cage, I feel like he was shackled by chains, ironically, as his Ghost Rider.
Not in part 2. Part 2 is he's as crazy as he wants to be.
Oh, really? I don't
Did you not see the sequels?
I did not see it.
Yeah, he's completely off leash in that movie.
Really? I did not see that.
Highly recommend, from the directors of Crank and Crank 2.
Oh, wow. Wait, oh yeah, Spirit of Vengeance, 2011. I did, so that pretty much was he did get his Hellboy type sequel there, basically, where a lot of people think the second one was better than the first one, and they went all out. Jonah Hex is the one I was thinking. I don't know why I was blanking on Josh Brolin. That was his first foray into comics. But I would like to see him as a variant. But if you're asking me to see the full on, I think Norman Reedus has really earned. I think he's earned a shot at that role for sure. I don't know if I'd but it would be cool to see it as a variant. But then again, would you want to see a Ben Affleck as Daredevil again? I mean, I guess we can do a whole nother show on that.
I think it's a tough call for Ghost Rider because you're essentially a CGI flaming skull. So I don't know that who's necessarily in that role is as important as whether or not you can act with a CGI flaming skull.
I think it's about the bone structure where you can almost look like you. Kind of like Willem Dafoe. Like, you don't need to put on that Green Goblin mask. We'll make you look like a goblin without putting on a mask.
Just smile.
Because he just had that. Which, again, I'm sorry we take us down these dirt roads. I read that anytime he went Green Goblin, they put the gap back in his teeth. And when he was Osborn, he didn't have the gap. I guess that was
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that was new to me.
I tell you what, as far as Ghost Rider goes, though, Nic Cage would be my first choice. Norman Reedus, whatever. Second choice for me would be actually go ahead and bring back Gabriel Luna, Austin's own Gabriel Luna, and make him Ghost Rider again. I think he deserved a shot. I know Terminator Salvation didn't do all that well, but
I thought you were talking because was he Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? I know he was
Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's a local. He's from here.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess they do have a couple of variants that they could work from on there. So I don't know. We're going to find out here pretty quick on some of the castings with Doctor Strange coming up. I think that's when they're going to really start drawing a line in the sand. Anyway, back on Cage. I forgot he was in Werewolf Women of the SS. He was in the Grindhouse trailer as Fu Manchu.
Yep.
So that's That's a nice nod to Austin, which he was just in town for the premiere of this film, and we didn't even realize he was going to be. We should have realized he was going to be here.
Well, somebody realized it. Did you see the person who put up like 1,000 flyers and asked Nick Cage to call him?
Oh no, I did not.
Someone put up like 1,000 flyers all over the place that said, "Nick Cage, I'm your biggest fan. Please call me at this number."
Really?
And he called him. Yeah.
What, Renato, was that you?
Take that, social media.
Just went old school. He went like 80s Japanese wrestling event at the Egg Dome. Just paper the town. Just put it everywhere. Don't think Nick Cage is big into making sequels. I'd like to see him as either a villain or just some sort of one and done movie hero. Mephisto would be, oh my, can you imagine if they made him Mephisto? Mephisto has become infamous for never even getting one single frame on any show or movie, and I think people are frothing for Mephisto.
I think the thing that would keep Nick Cage from being in the MCU is that you cannot control him.
Yeah.
You cannot tell him how to act. You can't tell him how to be this MCU character from the comic book. Oh, that's not like the comic book was. I'm Nick Cage. I'm doing it the way Nick Cage does it.
Yeah, I'm Nick Cage.
I'm not doing it the way Marvel does it.
Oh, before we jump into the third age of Cage, let's just go to the side tour because I don't think this falls into any age of Cage. Tim Burton's Superman with Nicolas Cage as Superman.
Right.
Where does that fall into the age of? Because I feel like people know that, and all you saw was him trying on a suit, and that was literally all you got.
I think that was supposed to be in that second age of like right. That was after his action uprising, right? That was, I want to say that was the late 90s, like 99 or something like that.
Okay.
So I think that was when he was at his peak. He got cast as Superman.
Release the Burton cut. Do we want to see Keaton as Batman and Nicolas Cage as Superman? And then would Winona Ryder be Wonder Woman? If we're talking about a release the Burton cut of the DC, that would be interesting. I know we keep going down these dirt roads. All right, let's get into we're in age 3. He did not get the World Trade Center Oscar. We went through Wicker Man, Ghost Rider. We had a sequel to National Treasure, Book of Secrets.
Book of Secrets.
Yes. One of my favorite titles for a movie I don't think I've seen, Bangkok Dangerous.
I never saw the Nicolas Cage version, but that's a remake of like a film from Thailand,
Oh, okay.
a Thai action movie.
I love the title. So I feel like now he's just like trying anything that he can. So he was in the next one that I remember Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. You know, my brother, R.I.P., writing his script of Confessions of an NYPD Gangster based on his true life story. I remember him really digging into Bad Lieutenant.
Here's a piece of trivia. His name in that movie in Port of New Orleans, that's Terrence McDonough.
Yep.
That's the name of the character. Now his name in Raising Arizona was H.I. McDonough.
Really?
So is there a connection there? Is that a variant or a relation?
I would like that. I would like Bad Lieutenant to be a sequel of Raising Arizona, basically Raising New Orleans. I think that would be cool. What else do we have? Okay, so then he did Astro Boy. He was the voice. I do remember that. Here's another one. He stuck with the comic book fair with Kick-Ass. He actually had that was a really good role, but I think that's when a lot of people were not fully ready for that style of comic, but the Mark Millar, because that was
The deconstruction of like comic book heroes.
Yeah, I
and
don't
stuff.
think they were ready, but I mean that movie, with him as the dad, it was great. And then you had that. That was Chloe Grace Moretz. Welcome to the party, pal. People really dug her, but a lot of that had to do with the chemistry that she had with her film dad, Nic Cage.
Well, I think the thing that's really cool about him is he's playing sort of a Batman spoof in that movie.
Yeah.
But you notice, right? He's doing the Adam West voice the whole movie.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's doing Adam West as Batman, as this knockoff Batman, which that's why Nick Cage is great. Like
Yeah.
he just comes up with this stuff.
That's fantastic. I did not know that, but now that you say, because I hear his voice in my head. Wow, that's really good. Good call. We had two very similar movies after this, right? With The Sorcerer's Apprentice and the very, didn't we see this movie, but we didn't, Season of the Witch.
Which I believe is just made up of leftover footage of The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah, it just feels like they were basically the same film. Next up, I was very familiar with this movie because it was shot right our neighboring state, and I remember, Randy lives right on the border. Was Drive Angry, and that was filmed right there in Shreveport.
Was Randy in that one?
I don't remember if he had a role in it or not, but I remember pretty much everyone that was in our circle at the time.
At the
was trying
time
to get in that.
that was actually in my small actors circle, one of our friends actually got into that one, and she had a really big role. Her name was Jamie Tier, and she had done a few YouTube shorts with us, and she landed that role in Drive Angry. She was the babysitter.
Oh, okay.
She's in
That's
the whole
awesome.
movie, and she never gets a line, but she was in pretty much the whole movie.
That's awesome. I had no idea. I remember liking the film too. I mean, I remember.
I dug it. I thought it was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was a really good film. Here's a question. So we're saying that this is the third age of Cage, like starting at that time period. But man, there's a lot of movies between 2006 to now. Would you consider that? So we're about to get into the fourth age of Cage, and the third age of Cage was somewhat sedated and letting him do whatever he wants.
Well, I mean, the third age of Cage, I think, is the longest, and we're hitting the end of it now. It's ending like this month.
Okay.
But like, if you notice his film trajectory here in this third age, it goes pretty downward. Okay.
Yeah, it's all over the place,
Somewhere
too.
in here, as you're looking at this timeline, you can put in Nic Cage forgot to pay his taxes. And
Yeah, I think that was 2013 with the Croods.
So now you've got all these movies. You've got a lot of straight to video stuff.
Yeah.
That he's making, right? And when you're Nic Cage or Bruce Willis or whoever, and you're doing straight to video, you're getting paid $1 million a day. Mm-hmm. That's your role. But you know what? I mean, you need to pay your taxes. So you got to do what you
Actors
gotta
act,
do.
man. Booker's book. Actors act. I mean, he's getting it. He's GSD.
He had some really great movies in there, just sort of like tucked in, like Joe. Have you ever seen Joe?
No, I didn't.
Joe is fantastic. You should watch it. It's another Austin movie done here locally. Just awesome. But a lot of it is just straight to video fare. We got Army of One, Arsenal, Vengeance, A Love Story, Inconceivable, The Human Burrow, like all kinds of just like stuff. But like I think from this straight to video fare, he kept on doing little indies in between, and that's sort of what kept him relevant, right? He had Joe, he had Mom and Dad, which is really good, and then I think this took us all the way to Mandy, and I think Mandy begins the new age of Cage.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. I definitely see that as a story. Yeah, because look, he made the Croods. He put the Croods in there, and the Croods basically afforded him to just have fun, let him be Nic Cage. And I think you're right. All those movies you just named, because when you start getting into Mandy, that's when I feel like he started sneaking back into the zeitgeist. So people were cool. It's like, oh, Nic Cage, he's just doing these quirky movies, and Mandy was bonkers, absolutely. But I feel like Mandy in a way put Shudder back on. I mean, was that Shudder's biggest movie? Like that really put him on the map.
That was one of their big gets at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was huge. So having that in there, and then his obviously, ironically, Teen Titans Go. He played Superman. He was into the Spider-Verse. He was he? Oh no, he was Spider-Man Noir. So I mean, he was getting these voice roles that are basically affording him to do the fun stuff he wants. And we'll go through some of these: Running with the Devil, Kill Chain, Primal, Jiu-Jitsu.
These are all straight to video movies.
Yes.
Right? These are not like he's still doing the straight to video stuff here.
So here's the two that really stick out to me. And I haven't watched it yet, and I'm saving it for the right moment, but I want you to tell the story you told me about it. Willy's Wonderland on Hulu. Tell the viewers the story that you told me about booking Nic Cage for Willy's Wonderland.
Well, he doesn't have a single line in that movie.
Right? And
It's a completely silent performance. And I don't know if this was just part of his contract, or maybe they couldn't do Nic Cage's fee, which I'm sure is $1 million a day. but he does the whole film without doing a single line, and it still works.
I cannot wait. I've been saving it. I have not watched it yet, but I love the idea. It's just like, here's my fee. Oh, we can't afford that. All right, I'll give you this fee, but I'm not saying a word.
I'm not doing lines. You should watch Prisoners of the Ghostland if that's still on Shudder. That's a great one.
Oh, I do remember that one on there. I have not watched that one yet either. And his title, his character's name is just Hero in that.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's cool.
It's like Escape from New York in a post-apocalyptic wasteland with samurais.
Oh my God, that sounds great. So, do we have another trilogy embedded here? Do we say that you put Prisoners of the Ghostland, Willy's Wonderland, and the movie we went and saw together, Pig?
I mean, I don't know that those necessarily...
Now, Pig might not be.
I think Pig is what's bringing him back into the mainstream because that was way different than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I just rewatched it on Hulu the other day. It's a really great film.
Really?
But it sort of brought him back down to the serious role type stuff.
He had
know
a
what I mean?
very... I remember seeing it, and what caught me during the film is you were waiting for Nick, and this is coming off seeing the trailer for Willy's Wonderland, seeing him, in Mandy. You're like, oh man, Nic Cage is going to be Nic Cage any second, and it felt like a weird simmering of like any second he's going to burst out and become Nic Cage, and he never does. And I thought it was just like, and I thought that was really interesting that his real life, who he is as an actor and what leaked into the script and added this layer of tension that would not have been there if any other actor did that.
No, because you're waiting for Nick Cage to do Nick Cage.
So I was just like, that really stuck with me, that it was just like he was just simmering and you're waiting for it to happen and it never happens. And that didn't make the film bad, but it's just like, you felt a little bit swerved, but not in a bad way. You're like, oh, okay, I didn't know you were going for an Oscar again. Sorry.
Now, when you watch it again and you realize there's not going to be some point where he goes crazy. And then, spoiler.
All right.
Nick Cage beats the villain with food.
Yeah.
He beats him. He destroys him by cooking him a meal.
Yeah. And it was so sedate, and you were waiting. All right, he's going to stick a fork in his eye. All right, he's going to jam this down his throat. And it never happens, especially because it was an emotional performance, because he's just like, I just want my pig. And it just never happened. So, again, it's a great film if you're ready for, I would have called it Oscar fare. So that brings us to today.
Now we're entering the fourth age of Nick Cage.
The fourth age, yeah. So there's 4 ages here with 2 films that, for the second one, all I saw was a picture, and I'm already so ready to see it. But the first one, obviously, we talked about it, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where we're going to see the being John Malkovich moment for Nick Cage, where Nick Cage is going to get to be Nick Cage.
And he's deconstructing himself.
Yeah. And it's great. And it just, the title, everything about it, the casting, it just works so well. So this is coming out in next week? No, next month. But yeah, we got Pedro Pascal, Neil Patrick Harris, Tiffany Haddish. I mean, we got great casting here that I think are going to really play off Nick Cage well. And then the second one, we posted a picture. Or did we post? No, I did not post that picture yet. There it is. Renfield, but he's going to be playing Dracula. I didn't know I needed Nick Cage as Dracula until I saw this picture. I did not know I needed it.
Who else would you cast as Dracula? That seems like perfect casting.
No, I did. Yeah. Again, it was just like, wasn't he always Dracula? I mean, because I don't know. You jump around. Before you even get into sparkling vampires, we had Fright Night, vampires, and then we had Lost Boy. Then we had Christopher Lee. Grew up with George Hamilton. This is almost strikes at me as the George Hamilton Dracula, right? Love at First Bite, but a little bit. But then again,
that's a deep cut.
Yeah,
the kids haven't seen that one.
Oh man, they need to see this.
Here's a double feature: Love at First Bite and Zorro the Gay Blade.
Oh yeah. Oh man, there was a great. I remember in Love at First Bite. I don't drink wine and I don't smoke shit. That one always stuck with me. And then when he was talking about 1, so 2, 3 bits of peso, all for Zorro, stand up and say so, something along those lines, and Zorro the Gay Blade. But yeah, that could be a double feature for sure. But what I like about this movie is we're getting Nic Cage as Dracula, but I've always been, what made me think of Love at First Bite was George Hamilton saying Renfield. Like, this is going to be about Renfield, not necessarily about Dracula, and it's going to be Nicholas Hoult. You might know him from the X-Men. He played the Beast, right? Oh, he was also in Mad Max Fury Road?
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, he was Hank McCoy in Matthew Vaughn's X-Men. And I feel like he was just in another movie recently that I saw him in Those Who Wish Me Dead. I do remember him in that as well. So he's going to be playing Renfield. And I don't know, I remember Renfield like eating cockroaches and just like doing the bidding. We had that version of Renfield in the original Fright Night, with the housemate that was living with him that was basically luring all the people. That guy, I don't remember his name, but he always kind of freaked me out. That was his version of Renfield. So I'm curious where they're going to go with this. And they got Awkwafina, so they got the good luck charm. We're going to see anything that has Awkwafina in it. So I don't know how much you've heard about this film.
I don't think a lot's been leaked yet or whatever, but this is the first thing we're seeing is the Nic Cage as the dude.
And I didn't know it was based on a pitch by Walking Dead's Robert Kirkman. That's I did not know that. So I wonder if this is going to be, it is a dark fantasy horror comedy. Would you consider Fright Night a comedy?
Fright Night? No.
But you just remember at the time where just like you got laughs when you weren't expecting it, right? Oh, you're so cool, Brewster. Like, I don't know if you were supposed to get those laughs with Evil Ed, but I don't. Yeah, with Roddy McDowell and stuff, but I just remember it being, I guess, not a straight up comedy, but I remember it feeling like lighter fare.
Well, everybody was doing Spielberg in the 80s. Every movie was like everything that was like a genre picture was a Spielberg impression for a while,
Oh man.
So you had to have the sort of the perspective from younger characters or kids or something like that, and you had to have some light comedy thrown into whatever you were doing, whether it was horror or sci-fi or whatever.
Yeah, like when even awkward, like I might die, but I'm gonna just get this one-liner in before I die.
Exactly.
So we did see a little bit of that, but that's pretty much we got a lot in there for that 4 ages of Cage. I'm excited for the 4th age of Cage. It might be time for a commercial break, though. We might have to get our faculties because that was a good Age of Cage retrospective.
Yeah. Let's do a quick be right back because we need to do the thing. No one needs to know about this stuff though. But let's hear from Stroh's first, real quick.
Yeah, Stroh's,
and then we'll do a quick be right back, and then we'll be right back.
We'll BRB.
I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were me? America's got this beer. It's called Stroh's Light, and it's fire brewed. It's not like any other beer. So I called the State Department and say, let's make a trade. Our cigars for your Stroh's Light. They say, Fidel, you're going to have to forget about it.
It's not the same as other lights. It's fire-brewed Stroh's Light.
We're only 90 miles away. We can't even get a decent beer.
are you going?
To get a Stroh's.
That's about a 200-mile hike through heavy snow.
I know.
If you think of it, get two.
From one beer lover to another's Stroh's.
Okay, I turned the thing back on, so we're coming back.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you to our Not Know of Us sponsors, Stroh's. So, all right, what's up? Over the river and through the woods. We are about to start a segment here. It's
You
a fan
can't call
favorite
them segments. That's like
It's not.
that's like you're showing behind the curtain.
Okay, so we're just gonna start our next. What do we call it?
We're just gonna speak naturally
We're
and
gonna-
have a conversation about whatever topics.
Whatever
We didn't
comes
plan
up.
out any kind of a
Yeah,
segment.
no, there's nothing planned out. You're right. So we will just. What do we? So we will just call it what day of the week? Oh, we're not even doing the day of the week thing anymore, right?
Hey, are you thirsty?
Yeah. That's what-
Are you, after that Nick Cage conversation, are you a bit parched? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm a little parched. What should
So
we do?
maybe we should.
It's weird that you say that.
Maybe we should dig into the old Dos Incredibles cooler
Yeah.
and do a little thing we like to call weird beers.
There, you definitely fixed that. My processor was locking up again, and I was like, "Wait, what?" But yeah, I feel like we get to the point where, because we're talking about a lot of stuff we talk about anyway, so we just got to remember. Oh wait, we're actually live talking about this, even though we have the same conversations when nothing is rolling. So, but this is our non-primo edition of Weird Beer, even though we always give him a shout out because he's really delivered. I mean, he's had the strongest weird beer on here that was packing like 10 octane.
Sure, we'll give a shout out to Primo real quick.
All right, thank you, Primo. So we got a cool one today for you pulp culture fanatics, film fanatics, if you will. This one is a Bach brewed with chocolate rice cereal that is called dun, 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 Bach to the Future. Right there. Oh, you can see my knuckle busting for the other gig of kickboxing. But check that out. Bach to the Future, great artwork, great name. I'm not sure how this is gonna translate as a Rice Krispie treat.
Bach, it's Bach, so it's like Shiner Bach.
Shiner Bach. Okay, so it is got that shiner. It is from True Vine Brewing Company. Okay, and let's see if we can see. Oh, you got a can too. What octane? How many gigawatts is this beer have?
This has 5.5 gigawatts.
5.5 gigawatts. 5.5 gigawatts. The only thing that can generate 5.5 gigawatts is a bolt of lightning. But great. I'm surprised. I guess you can say it's not really. I don't know. Like, how did they get away with this? It's just great, though. It's store cold, drink fresh. Oh, it's out of Tyler, Texas?
Is that right?
Yeah, it's out of Tyler, Texas.
So I got the website up. It says, we always have to go with twist and tradition, right? Well, how about super clean, easy drinking, craft brewed Bach with a perfect touch of chocolate rice cereal? Is that like chocolate Rice Krispies?
That's what I was thinking. Are we talking? I guess, yeah, I was thinking Rice Krispie
You
treats.
got it. Welcome to Bach to the Future, the True Vine tap room starting. It just came out in 2018. It's now available as a seasonal release in 6-packs or as singles at your favorite gas station. A past fan favorite and your present future taste buds.
Oh, man.
Because where we're going, we don't need boring Bachs.
Oh, wow. They went all in on this gimmick. Good for them. Good for them. That's great. Because when I saw it, I just thought, that's the power of Bach. Feel the power of Bach. So let's crack into this. We got Senor Pancho here, but before we pour into him, we're gonna pop this Bach. Oh man, my knuckle man is looking really gnarly. Here we go. Good pop, good pop. All right. Let me do the tilt so you can get the close-up. Tell me when you're ready.
No, no.
No?
Softly, gently. You must pour the block gently.
I always look for the head. If my head is staying under like a 1/4 inch, I think that's what they told me in mixology school. There we go. Oh, the head stayed strong. There we go. Not too shabby. It's got a golden hue to it.
It smells like China Buck.
It definitely does. I can smell it from here. All right, ready? I'm gonna put the can back here. Okay, so we give them. Oh yeah, that was perfect. All right, cool. Ready? Here we go. Salud. Let's get a drink. I got beers. Let's drink them.
You gonna gun it?
Yeah. Should we gun it?
I'm gunning it. If we got to get it up to 88 miles per hour.
All right, hold on. Let me get ready for the gun. Now we're gunning it. Yes. All right. So we got Are we beer racing? Or are we just gonna gun it and see what happens?
I don't know, man, but I got to get this into my flux capacitor. Quick.
Okay. All right. Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Close up proof. Fully gunned. Oh man. It actually went down really smooth. It went down It worked.
Run for it, Marty.
It's not you, Marty. It's your kids. This was really good. Yeah, it had a because it's already gone. It really does have, like, you get that Bach taste. I didn't really get the chocolate in there.
I think Bach, by its nature, is a little bit chocolatey.
Yeah.
This is pretty light. I don't taste any Rice Krispie cereal in there.
Let me see if the suds got. No, but I liked it. I mean, it went down really, really smooth. Good job to the True Vine Brewing Company out of Tyler, Texas. I always get Tyler and Taylor mixed up. Tyler is the one that's north before Waco, and Taylor's the one that's going east towards Buffalo. Buffalo, New York, and Buffalo, Texas, right?
I think Tyler is a song by the Toadies, and Taylor is someone who sews. If I got him correct.
I think that does sound accurate. But yeah, I feel like Tyler's definitely East Texas, where Taylor is, I guess, still also east. No, east-ish. I wrestled in all of these towns, and very few that I can remember actually how to get back to. Speaking of back in time, I don't know.
Gotta get back in time.
How come The Power of Love is the song that worked in that more than Back in Time, which was actually more accurate? Don't get me wrong, I loved it.
Who did back? Did Huey Lewis also?
Huey Lewis and the News, who actually had the cameo. Sorry, you're just too darn loud.
Which is ironic because now Huey Lewis can't hear anything.
Oh, really? Oh, shit.
Yeah, he went completely deaf. But anyway, here's the thing: is like
I'm
Huey
Jeff.
Lewis. Huey Lewis got a great, huge hit out of Power of Love. What about ZZ Top? They didn't get anything.
Oh yeah,
They did the song for Part 3.
they were actually in it too.
That's right, and they had the rotating guitars.
They did. They put him in there.
thing.
I don't know. Was Huey Lewis? He didn't do any. He was not like the Kenny Loggins, who was just like known for movie anthems.
No, he had like a couple of huge albums, and like Sports has a
Sports.
lot of hits on it.
Oh, now you're getting into American Psycho territory. Sports.
Sports had I Need a New Drug. It had Hip to Be Square. It had Hard to Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
It had Happy to Be Stuck with You.
Oh, wow. Yeah, these were great. I remember this was MTV, not only on cable but actually showing music. And I Want a New Drug was one that really stuck with me as a kid because you remember the scene where he stuck his face in the ice water? That was in the video. I Want a New Drug.
I was actually more partial to the Weird Al version, which is I Need a New Duck. I Want a New Duck.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, he does. He does. I Want a New Duck.
Oh wow, he's the national treasure. Let's just say it. He came here a couple years ago, and I didn't know it until after. But think about this. This guy's made Weird Al has just basically made spoof songs, and he's like a legit hardcore musician. Like he's an artist, but he's made so many hits out of other people's hits.
That's right.
And I did not know it makes sense that he did one for Huey Lewis.
Did you ever used to see back in the day when MTV would do music videos and they would do Al TV?
Oh yeah, I remember Al TV.
Al TV was great.
Yeah, because he did. I remember John Cougar Mellencamp was doing singing about little pink houses, and he was doing like a commercial where they were giving away a house, and they're like, "We're gonna give you a house, and guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna paint that mother pink." And then Weird Al on Al TV did a spoof of the commercial about talking about John Cougar, and he's like, "And you're gonna win house, and guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna paint your mother pink." And it just showed a mom getting painted pink. And that's what always stuck with me about
That was on Al TV?
That was an Al TV. He spoofed a commercial. We might have to find that. We're going to paint your mother pink, which I thought was just, that always stuck with me. But national treasure. We were singing, and I actually pulled this up on Spotify recently, which I got to publish our Spotify list. But I went back to the song that he made based on American Pie, singing about the Phantom Menace. And that song holds up so well. It still holds up well, and it makes you want to watch Star Wars again. Let me pull up.
He's been a surgeon, a Flintstone, and an Amish guy. He's been fat, a Jedi warrior, and he's even survived Jurassic Park. He smelled like Nirvana and never forgot it was all about the Pentiums. Now, finally, he's back. Poodle Hat, the new album from Weird Al Yankovic, featuring the Eminem parody Couch Potato, plus parodies of hits by Nelly, Avril Lavigne, and others. Call the number on your screen to order Weird Al's all-new album, Poodle Hat. Just $18.98 for the CD and $12.98 for the cassette.
Poodle.
$4.95 shipping and handling.
We're probably kicked off YouTube now for playing that.
That was worth it. Sorry, I gunned it, and it came back. But the guy who sang American Pie, that Don... What was it? Who sang the...
Don McLean. That was Don McLean.
He said that he got to the point where after that song parody, the Weird Al lyrics would get stuck in his head for his own song that he wrote and he created. Weird Al took that over.
I would say that's Don McLean. It's his fault for not writing a good enough song.
But it just worked so well that you can listen to that song again. And he basically... The genius of Weird Al, he's not just a squeeze box musician, right? Was that another one?
No, go ahead. What was Weird Al's a what?
He's not just a squeeze box magician, but he told the entire story of Phantom Menace in one song, from beginning to end. Like if you had a TLDR, the Phantom Menace, you just need to listen to this song. We can't. There's no way we can play it, right? There's apps. Let's find the.
No, we'll get YouTube will come here and kick our asses.
Here, let me pull up.
When nature calls in the middle of the night, that bathroom light is blinding bright. Don't stumble around in the dark and miss the mark. Now there's Bull Light, the new LED motion-activated light that transforms your toilet into a soft and gentle night light.
You can get a light for your toilet.
Then select the color you love and let the magic begin.
That's fantastic.
Turns off automatically.
Now with Bowl Light, the soft ambient light lets me see, but it doesn't wake me up.
Light even changes colors: blue, yellow, red.
Wait, was this a commercial on Al TV?
No, this is a real product you can buy.
Oh, I thought Al.
This came on after Al. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
Aren't you sick of turning the light on?
My husband gets up 3 to 4 times a night and wakes me up. Still asleep.
Bowl light is perfect for kids' bathrooms too. Light up the way, and kids can aim to please. Toilet training is easy peasy.
Oh my God, this is great.
I was afraid of going to the bathroom in the dark. Now, with bowl light, he knows exactly where he has to go. And he can pick his favorite color.
If you're tired of stumbling at night and exhausted from the bathroom's blind light, order Bowl Light, the amazing new nightlight today.
I'm totally ordering one of those. I have to order one of those now. Like I got pulled into like when they were said, hey, don't worry about any more toilet paper shortages. Just get a bidet. And I'm like, I'm getting a bidet. And I got 2 bidets. Now I'm getting a bowl light to go with my bidet. My freaking toilet is gonna look like a fountain in Las Vegas when this is all said and done. We're gonna have bidet water splaying, and we're gonna have the pole lights where I'm not gonna be afraid to go to the bathroom in the dark.
You shouldn't be afraid.
It's gonna be a
to go to
party.
the bathroom in the dark.
It's gonna be a party in the bowl.
I kind of like the idea of the bowl light. I think I might get that actually.
Yeah, I am going to. Oh, here's one for you. It's free. You can potty like a rock star. There you go. There it is. But that's awesome that actually came up after Weird Al. Like, you know who would be perfect to endorse this? Weird Al. Even YouTube is basically suggesting that Weird Al should do this.
Are you tired of shitting in the dark?
I just saw like a fun fact. Like I think it was on Shithead Steve's Instagram. Like every day there's somebody who took the biggest crap and didn't know it. Every day. And I was just like, wow, that's like scary facts.
That's like Moneyball.
Yeah, that is money. Like every day they took the biggest crap and they don't know it. But oh shit, I closed it. I had the Saga Begins is what Weird Al's version was, and the lyrics were just pretty much the premise to I think it's a companion piece to Phantom Menace, and people should listen to that song before and after they watch the Phantom Menace, and maybe they might appreciate it better. Because, fun fact, hot take, whatever you want to call it, what would you rather watch, the Phantom Menace or the Rise of Skywalker?
That's a rhetorical question. Nobody wants to watch Rise of Skywalker ever again.
No, I think people would like to forget that it happened.
I think most people are going to do like a Westworld thing where it's like, if it comes on, it's like, it doesn't look like anything to me.
What door?
We're just going to ignore that it even existed.
And that's sad. They had it and they kind of blew it. But let me just go through some of these lyrics. I mean, a long, long time ago. That's how it starts. So you're already in it. He already put basically the bumper. But he tells the whole story of what's happening. He gives shout outs to 3PO and this here Anakin guy. And he's like, soon I'm going to be a Jedi. He talks about saying goodbye to his mommy. He talks about basically Qui-Gon's a badass, but he's about to get toasted by Darth Maul. I mean, he told the whole story in there. Again, he's a national treasure. Maybe we get him on the show.
Weird Al, yeah, let's write him.
What are your feelings on the Weird Al classic UHF?
What are my feelings about it?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, right.
It's one of the best movies of that year of the 80s. I don't know if that movie was a hit, but it's certainly a classic.
Let's look it up. I don't know if it was a hit or not, right?
Like the spoofs in that they're iconic. Conan the Librarian.
Oh my God.
Gandhi 2.
That's right, he did have Gandhi 2.
Spatula City.
Oh man. Oh, so David Bowie was in that.
The guy who teaches poodles how to fly.
Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse.
Uncle Nutsy's Clubhouse, which gave way to Stanley Spadowski's Clubhouse.
That was a pre Seinfeld Michael Richards, right? Because you can find that GIF when
that's
they
early Richards, yeah.
Basically having the kid. He's like, let's get a shot of the fire hose, and and I remember the kid going flying when he basically made him get a drink of the fire hose. But man, I think we need to watch this and review.
That was like
UHF.
basically that was like the dream that became YouTube, which was, you could just have a TV station where you just program whatever you wanted. You know what I mean? And I suppose you couldn't do bootleg movies like that anymore. We're just doing straight up sequels to other properties.
No.
But the idea of having your own TV channel came to fruition in YouTube, which we are now.
Yeah, that's where we are. And I guess that was what UHF... Dude, do you know who distributed this? It's one of your favorites.
Orion?
Orion, exactly. Orion Pictures distributed. Unfortunately, the budget was 5 and the box office was 6. But here's what's unfair about that. 89, we're still pretty deep in the VHS era, right? And there's no way to count the money that made on VHS, because you would consider this a cult classic, right?
Cult classic, sure, yeah.
Like, there's no way to actually know how much that made on film. And how much did it make internationally, where it was released as the Vidiot from UHF?
That's not a bad title.
Yeah, that's it. Why didn't they should have just stuck with that title. But directed by Jay Levy. Yeah, we're going to have to go back and watch that. See, this is where from Weird Beer to Weird Al. That's where it took us. Fran Drescher was in it, which I think they were friends, right?
Fran Drescher. That was the first appearance of Fran Drescher she was in Saturday Night Fever before that. But that's when I first remembering Fran Drescher.
Yeah.
And folks got hooked on that. What is her accent? How would you categorize her accent?
She lives in a tunnel between New York and New Jersey.
That's it.
She's a tunnel dweller. Not a chud,
and she
a tunnel
plays
dweller.
Pamela Finkelstein, aspiring journalist.
Yes. Oh, my God.
And her cameraman's name was Noodles McClintosh, which was my pseudonym for a while.
Billy Barty. Noodles. Oh, that's where you got Noodles?
Yeah, that's where I got Noodles.
I did not know. Oh, my God. Wait. He was from Foul Play?
Billy Barty was in a lot of stuff in the 80s.
Oh, my God.
He was the top dwarf.
He was. That's right. He was in Foul Play. Wow. I just blew my mind. I didn't know that's why. I always wondered where you got Noodles.
He was a cameraman.
Oh, that's all. Yeah, I do remember that. Wow. You know who else was in this from General Hospital fame? Tony Geary was in that.
Who did he play?
Philo?
Oh, Philo. Okay,
Philo,
yeah. He played the scientist guy.
Yeah, I can totally see him as scientist. And this casting blows your mind, but I guess Weird Al being a musician, of course he's going to be friends with David Bowie, who plays Bobo the Clown.
David Bowie is Bobo the Clown?
Oh, no, David Bowie. There's no I. Man, I wonder how many other people fell for that. I was like, wow, he was in that. And ironically, David Bowie was in The Rock. We were just talking about that. But I was like, oh, David Bowie, yeah, book him. Oh, we couldn't get Bowie, but we got Bo.
You know who has the best scene in that movie is Emo Phillips.
Oh, Emo Phillips. Dude, he used to freak me out when I was younger. Like, he used to give me nightmares.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Afraid of Emo Phillips?
Yeah, the way he stood and the way he walked, he really just gave me nightmares. Yeah, he's funny, but man, he used to freak me out.
Well, just his scene in that movie where he cuts off his fingers doing the
Joe Early,
table saw.
Yeah. And Dr. Demento as himself, whipped cream eater, was in there too as well. And the Kipper Kids were in there as themselves.
The who?
The Kipper Kids.
Who's the Kipper Kids?
I don't know. But they were themselves. Oh, man, they were kind of freaky looking, too. Oh, they passed. They're a duo composed of Martin Raucus, Sebastian von Hasselberg, and Brian Routh.
Oh, those are those guys that are during the telethon, and they've got like some bicycle pumps, and they're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah, that's them. Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yep, that's who they are. Yeah, they have. Yeah, he went all out on this. We're going to have to watch that. So thank you, Weird Al, for everything you've done. I think it's time for a Lifetime Achievement Award for Weird Al. Did he already get one?
I mean, he should have one.
I remember there was a lot of musicians that were not, they were against that. They considered it like a cover, that they were like the people who didn't like covers because they were almost insulted by it. And do you think the heat between Weird Al and J.J. Jackson, one of the original VJs from MTV was real?
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I felt like that. I remember the commercials like, yeah, we're going to do this. JJ Jackson was basically acting like he had heat with Weird Al for doing this. Like, this is no joke. This is music, man.
How can you have heat with Weird Al?
I know. I thought it was strange. Oh, where'd you go?
Did it drop out again?
Oh, yeah, there it is. It's back.
Just crank up the volume.
Yeah, there. That when I crank it up, it comes back. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that was a work or not. We need to search that out.
Who was it now again?
JJ Jackson. He was the R.I.P. He's not with us anymore. But he was the 5th VJ, right? You had. Let's see if I can do this without Google machine. John Goodman.
John Goodman.
No, John. I guess I can't do it. I just remember Martha Quinn, J.J. Jackson, Alan Hunter, John something, and J.J. Jackson. You're going to have to fact check me on that. The 5 original. There he is.
That's J.J. Jackson?
Yeah. He had heat with
He had heat with Weird Al?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a work or not. Because remember, he took over MTV on like Friday nights.
Well, I mean, he's got heat with Weird Al. He's got heat with me, as far as I'm concerned.
All right, I gotta fact check myself. Let me do it again. No, there was Martha Quinn, Alan Hunter, J.J. Jackson,
Adam Curry.
No, he was the second wave.
He was second wave.
Yeah.
Side note: did you know Adam Curry invented the podcast?
I remembered I saw that recently. Was he on Rogan and they gave him that credit?
Yeah, he's on Rogan sometimes.
All right, yeah, I did not know that until he said it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm cool. I don't need it to go." Okay. Nina Blackwood, that's who I left out. So Martha Quinn, Mark Goodman, not John Goodman. Martha Quinn, Mark Goodman, Nina Blackwood, Alan Hunter, and J.J. Jackson. That was it. And J.J. Jackson had heat with Weird Al for Al TV. I remember him I'm like, oh cool, I'm gonna watch Al TV live, and I remember him just having heat for some reason.
It had to be a work.
You think it was a work?
Yeah.
Just to get people to tune in?
I think so. Anyway, that's a segment we call.
I lost it. Do you want to throw a word from our sponsor, and then we'll get into...
All right, here's a word from Stroh's.
And then we...
I don't know what to do. What would you do if you were me? America's got this beer. It's called Stroh's Light. And it's fire brewed. You know, it's not like any other beer. So I called the State Department and say, let's make a trade. Our cigars for your Stroh's Light. They say, Fidel, you're going to have to forget about it.
It's not the same as other lights. It's fire-brewed Stroh's Light.
We're only 90 miles away. We can't even get a decent beer.
Uh-oh. So we're back. I got the 70s porn filter going.
That just makes I feel like someone's about to come to the door and check our plumbing.
That's the title of this segment.
That is the title of this segment. I'm here. Dun dun dun. Who is it? It's the plumber. I come to fix your sink. That's a deep cut. I don't know. We'll have to figure out where that's in my head. I feel like that was like Sesame Street. I didn't know that maybe they were inserting in our head was Sesame Street gateway drug for porn?
Yeah. And, learning.
Who is it? It's the plumber. I come to fix your sink. And I feel like there was a parrot that was actually trying to answer the door. Anyway, let's get into the film that we saw. I try to watch at least 2 films a week, but Saturday night, no matter what, I make that film night.
You're on 2 films a week now.
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm trying to improve because I get pulled into these shows, and then you feel like you don't have time for films. And I was like, you have to make time to watch the film. Like, even if you do it in 2 parts and just basically do it like old school, like Salem's Lot back on TV, when you're like, we're going to break it into 2 parts. I got to try to do that. But anyway, this one was theatrical. Going in, went to Alamo Draft House, enjoyed it. It was the new film by Ty West called X. It was awesome. And like, what would be the you actually gave a really good TLDR for this. You said it was basically like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood mixed with Texas Chainsaw Massacre if they used the same actors from Boogie Nights.
Something like that, yeah.
Something along those lines.
It's like Dazed and Confused meets Boogie Nights meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. But like first gut reaction was, it was for expecting it obviously with X. You expected it to be gory, but it was beautiful. Like you said,
I'm going to say right off the bat, I saw the trailer for this initially, and I was not into it.
No.
I did not dig the trailer.
Really?
No. And I was just like, I don't know. Maybe it was the way the trailer was cut. I don't know what, but it did not grab me. And I was not super into seeing it. It did. I've seen Ty West's other movies, and I've been a fan of some of his stuff, but this one just did not grab me. But when I started hearing the early reviews after South by, I was kind of like, okay, let me give this a shot. I think and when I saw it, I was really impressed. I mean, not impressed, just entertained.
Yeah, no,
it's just a
100%.
well-crafted, well-made movie.
100% entertaining. And here's the thing, but maybe this got you with the trailer that it got me. It was really hard to explain, like, hey, we're going to go see this movie. What's it about? It's kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but like after watching it, other than like the setting and like basically the vibe, it was not Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But then I guess, again, in a way, it was. But I mean, obviously, the rated X thing, you knew it was going to really get into. Well, let's read the premise. It was going to get into porn, right? The premise.
I thought it was 100% Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
That's what you're. Okay.
To me, this was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre reboot that we didn't know we were getting.
That we were not ready for. Yeah, I guess you're right. The plot follows a cast and crew who gather to make a pornographic film on an old couple's rural Texas property, but get caught and find their lives and risk. Casting was fantastic. I was very, very happy with this casting. I mean, you had Mia Goth, who actually plays double duty, and then you had Jenna Ortega, who's just coming off the hotness that was, her role in Scream. Brittany Snow, Owen Campbell, Martin Henderson, and Scott Medicudi.
Are you familiar with all these actors?
No.
I didn't really know a lot of them. So
I knew Brittany Snow, I knew Jenna Ortega, and I knew Mia Goth.
What was Mia Goth been in? I haven't seen her.
Mia Goth has been in. She was in Nymphomaniac in 2013, and she was in.
So she hasn't been in much, I don't think.
No, it wasn't a ton, but her face was very familiar, and I think I just remember her from Lars von Trier's Nymphomaniac. I think that's where I actually remember.
That's right.
You know what she was in? And I haven't seen it yet. Shame on me. Was the remake of Suspiria.
Oh, okay.
And that's,
who was she in that? I don't even remember. I was watching that just the other day. Anyway,
playing that.
The thing that got me about this movie at
Sarah
first.
Sims. She was that. Okay.
The thing that got me about this movie at first is it's got the vibe of. It's got a Muppet Show vibe, and I always call whenever anybody's doing anything, they're making a production, I call it the Muppet Show vibe, where they're going, let's go out and make a movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go out and, but except it's like we're going to make a porn because we saw Debbie Does Dallas and it made $1 million, so we can go out and make Debbie Does Dallas wherever. And we're going to make $1 million, and that's sort of the premise. And I like that as a jumping off point.
I do, yeah.
And then you've got the dorky nerd character who's going to direct the first greatest porn film ever.
Yeah, Yeah, he was the film. Yeah, he was.
And God bless them. It was the early days of porn, so they're all shooting on film. And I don't know, whatever you want to say about porn, those early days I feel were pure. And you had a lot of people that were really legit trying to be filmmakers who did porn, and they don't admit it. I think Wes Craven did porn.
You were saying what? Yeah, you were telling me the other day.
Travolta did porn. Stallone did porn. It was a gig, man. At the time, it was a job.
It was a kicking off point. Absolutely.
You had a film camera and you were making stuff. It's not like now where you can just shoot shit on your phone and post it.
Yeah.
It took a lot of effort. to make a film. So I thought the jumping off point was great. And where the movie really, really hooked me was the cinematography is awesome.
Fantastic. Oh, so good.
But there's
So
one
good.
shot, the one shot where they're taken off to go do the movie, and it's a singular. It's just one shot where they walk out of the back of the strip club, and it's like a crane shot.
Oh, yes.
And they walk
yes.
out and then crane up, show the van drive off, and they show the refineries in the background of Houston. Perfect. And
Yeah.
it had "Why Can't We Be Friends" or some old pop song like that.
Oh, yeah, they did great. Their soundtrack was really good, too. Very good for memorable songs.
It was perfect, and I was like, okay, I'm in on this movie. I'm down to see how this goes. You know, it got me right at that point. I was in.
I agree. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at their soundtrack choices. Yeah.
Did you know the character, the black dude who was the main actor in the porno?
Yeah, he was great.
You know that was Kid Cudi?
Yes.
I had no idea until I came home and
Yeah, that's
read
when I
about it.
started deep diving because I was watching another review that basically said, "Give me Kid Cudi prequel in Vietnam, and I will sign up right now to watch that," because he was great. He was. I mean, again, everybody did. Hats off to this. Everybody did really great. But yeah, they were ready for Kid Cudi prequel. But I'm not a trained expert like you. But I just know that I told you this was the first thing I texted. There was a couple of shots that the suspense, this guy really mastered, like, to me, Alfred Hitchcock levels of suspense. And there's 3 scenes. Oh, let's throw the spoiler out.
They name drop Hitchcock in the movie too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know exactly what scene you're talking about. So just jump right to it because
Yeah.
the folks watching want to know.
Yeah, the gator.
The gator
That
scene.
overhead gator shot killed me because I was just like, they introduced the gator, and I was like, and at this time, you didn't really know much about the film, and the slow swim of that gator, and then it actually was like real life National Geographic footage of seeing basically the size comparison of Mia Goth's character and this freaking gator coming right at her and slowly. This was the equivalent of Spielberg's "Swim, Charlie, swim." I was like, wow, this is really good.
And it's a full frame shot
Beautiful.
of the lake. And you're just seeing the gator creep through the water like molasses after, was it Mia Goth or the
Mia
other one?
Goth, yep.
And slowly catching up with her.
Yeah.
And there's no cuts. And it
No.
just goes and it just drags on forever.
Oh man, he was.
And
he was,
it works so well.
Made it really tense, but it was also a beautiful shot. Again, I'm not a trained cinematographer, but it's just like, wow, this is real. And there was 2 other.
You don't
ones
have to be a trained cinematographer. You
to
just
appreciate it.
Appreciate
I
stuff.
do. It was art. Again, this would be one of those films that I would argue it's because it's a horror movie and because of its content, people are going to say this should not be nominated for an Oscar, and I highly disagree because it was shot beautifully. It made me feel like I was in 1979.
They need to take that shit into consideration. And I'm going to stop cursing because the YouTube algorithm will banish us. But you need to take that into consideration when you're giving out these cinematography Oscars, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you have $200 million, of course you're going to have the best cinematography.
Yeah.
But if you've got like a couple of million, you're shooting it on a farm in New Zealand, I think that should be part of what you consider whether or not that's the best cinematography. Because I think you're right. This is a contender. And it feels like, it feels like the period that it's trying to be in.
Oh yeah, because it was very believable. He was like, we got this thing, home video, and people are going to be able to watch porn for their privacy, of their own home, like it should be. And it felt like, okay, yeah, because it's 1979. Of course, VCRs are just becoming a little bit more relevant.
And as you're watching that, you're watching that from the perspective of now, where everybody just has porn on their phone now.
Yeah, exactly. And exactly. So like it was it fit.
Imagine showing up to the barn and telling them, no, in the future, people just watch porn on the phone. What?
Yeah, exactly. A phone?
Like a rotary phone?
Like a rotary?
How do you watch porn on a phone? Get out of here.
Oh, it was good. And it had 2 other suspenseful scenes. I don't want to forget because this next one made me yelp out loud in the theater. My son was like, "Oh, I can't believe you just did that." And I was like, "Oh," because of course he's walking around, in his his skivvies, the guy by themselves. And they just showed I don't know what kind of shot you would call it. They showed him walking in the distance. He had no clothes and he was barefoot in the barn. And all they did was all of a sudden shoot and you saw the nail. And he was way back there like the gator. And I knew it was coming. I was like, oh, I literally did that out loud in the theater. A good 60 seconds before he even stepped on the nail.
Well, Ty West, I mean, they telegraph it in the movie. I know they call out Hitchcock or something. Like I forget who. I think whenever they're having a discussion with the director kid, they're talking about it. They call him Hitchcock, and Hitchcock's whole thing, his whole theory of suspense was show the audience the danger first. Don't show the characters.
Genius. Yeah, that's what he did.
So you show the audience the danger first and let them squirm while the main character has no idea what's coming.
Oh man, and it was they nailed that. And then I guess thinking about Quentin Tarantino when he was talking about Hitchcock stuff, and he referred to like Inglourious Basterds, where I remember he's listening to podcasts and he used that scene where he panned under the floor, when Colonel was there and you saw them hiding under the floor. We had a very similar scene when we actually had some old age senior citizen sex. You got to see them all crazy naked, and he was going to town on her. And then there it is. He was going to town. He pulled out, and he's like, I don't know if my heart can take it. They're like, oh, it can take it. I was like, how is that not a porn line? Oh, your heart can take it.
But God bless old people. Let them have sex.
Yeah, they went for it.
And that's what I love about this movie is like it takes that whole trope of like the horny teens screwing on men. It's like, no, we're horny too.
Yeah, it was the nymphomaniac grandma. She wanted in. And then they pan down slowly and you realize she's trapped under the bed. And then this is, spoiler alert, this is when we realize that, oh, this old lady is crazy. We just had no idea the lack of sex is what made her go crazy.
Well, we're going to find out, apparently, I think, in the prequel.
I was so
disappointed. Not to jump ahead, but like, yeah, we're getting a prequel to this movie.
I was so disappointed because I was like, I'm trained for the certain movies to have the post-credit scene. I had no idea this one was going to have a post-credit scene. So if you haven't seen it yet, stick around for the post-credit scene, which is a trailer to the prequel named Pearl, which is based on the crazy old lady in this one, who is, spoiler alert, she's a crazy ass killer. Well, they're both killers, right? But the brutality was rough. It was rough. There was a lot of rough stuff to watch because you winced, right? When Jenna Ortega took that freaking sledgehammer or whatever to the fingers and you saw her fingers getting smashed.
Shout out to Jenna Ortega's hands. She took a kitchen knife through the hand and screamed, right?
Yes, she did. That's right, she did. So that was I don't know if that was a callback, but that was great.
What about the one that got me was I forgot the name of the character, the Matthew McConaughey clone. Which if you're making a movie right now and you can't book Matthew McConaughey, here's your guy.
Martin Henderson.
His kill.
New Zealand.
His kill got me.
Oh man, yeah.
Looking through the eye hole, that's classic. Classic. Don't look through the eye hole.
Oh, I know.
Because you'll get a trident in your face.
Yeah, and basically there was the suspense here, right? Because he didn't do the look through the eye holes like he was looking through binoculars. He did one eye, and then he slowly did the other eye, and you're like, oh no, I know when he pans over one, they're going to show her, like, I thought it was going to be eye to eye. But they went, no, we're going to just stab him with a pitchfork right through the hole.
Pitchfork in the eyes.
Oh, man. Yeah, and it was crazy because you're like, they made it very realistic. It's like, how is this old lady going to take out these young, strong, viable men? And she took out two. Like, because first she threw one off guard because she basically started coming on to him and she basically started dry humping him. And he's like, what are you doing? She didn't see that coming. Like, oh, you're not into it? Boom, knife to the neck. Didn't see it coming.
Knife to the neck 50 times.
Yeah. Then she went all in. And that was like an hour in. That had that From Dusk Till Dawn moment when that's, to me, the movie took the turn. Because before that, it was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for porn, right? Boogie Nights. And that's when it took the turn of like, this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right,
it took
and it doesn't let up for the rest of the movie.
No, it didn't. And they were all in. And then you're like, oh, I'm not sure. Is he in on it? And of course he was in on it. And then, Kid Cudi being the Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. You're like, okay, this is the guy that's going to be tough to take out. And no, I mean, I think these people, like any classic underdog, they took these this old couple for granted, and it cost all of them.
Well, the thing that was one thing that really got me was Ty West's super intuitive, intelligent use of guns in this movie.
Yeah,
Because
agreed.
it's like those things get forgotten. You become a slasher movie, and it's like, I'm the guy that kills people with a fucking, golf thing. But that's my gimmick. I kill them with a golf club. But now it's just like introducing, like when Kid Cudi's character, the Marine, shit's gonna go down with him. It's just like, nope, boom.
Yeah.
And just blows him away.
Right in the chest. Like he was holding it against him. And again, he was taking him for granted. He didn't realize, stop pointing this gun at my chest, because he had no idea that, he was about to get blasted into there. And I thought that one, I jumped at that scene too. Even though you knew it was coming, that you had to figure out. But that was the first time the old timer, the husband got in on the murdering action. So right now, you took out, you went back to the 70s and you took out what was going to be considered. You knew that, you kind of felt the final girl coming, but there was a little bit of swerve on who the final girl really was going to be, which I thought was cool. Because basically, the whole don't have sex, don't do drugs. And the one that they called Church Mouse would have been the one that traditionally you would have considered the final girl. But then she's like, her boyfriend is the cameraman and the director. And she's like, this is just smut. Why are you making this? And then slowly she comes over to it and she's like, oh, I want to have a scene in this porn if it's going to be as good as yours. So you thought she was going to be the final girl. And I feel like that was the kicking off point, right? She was the church mouse, which ironically, her panties said Sunday. That was their way, because there was a lot of religious overtones in this, and her panties said Sunday, and she took off a gold cross saying, maybe I'm not going to be the final girl. But then they caught her and they put her in the basement, and they're like, oh, maybe she is going to be that. So I thought that was really, really smart the way they did that, because you had no idea how this was going to go down.
Look, you could take this premise and hand it over to someone else or some other studio and have them try to make this, and you would not get this movie.
No,
you would not. You would get
Nope.
you would get some sort of like tropey, predictable thing, probably super stylish, fancy looking thing. This movie, you couldn't predict where it was going.
No,
you didn't know how it was going to go. And I aside from the cinematography and the editing, we haven't talked so many editing choices are just awesome. Like, when Matthew McConaughey clone gets stabbed with the trident in the eyeballs, it cuts away from that, right? And there's a whole other scene before it cuts back to the trident coming out.
Yes, you're right.
Which was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like that was definitely a choice on the editors, because you've been noticed every time they were setting up, it felt like they were setting up a dangerous scene and a scene that you would typically see in a porn happening at the same time, right? Because they had Kid Cudi just like, boy, I'm sure thirsty. And they were sitting down. I was like, well, why don't you come in and get a drink? At the same time that Mia Long's character was sitting with the old lady. It's like, lemonade? And you had two pretty much mirror scenes, one being the danger horror movie and one being the typical scene you would see in a porn.
Yeah, and you had the old lady wanted to seduce everybody.
Yeah, and she had no problem. Oh, man, and that scene where she was laying, Mia Goth's character was laying in bed, and she was asleep, and basically, the old lady sneaks into the house, takes off all her clothes, and like lays next to her and basically starts to spoon her while she was asleep, and she was rubbing the blood from her hands on the back. I was like, that was another wincing scene. Like you were just waiting for something bad to happen.
And this stuff, like again, if this was a lesser filmmaker trying to do this for a studio, those moments would not have that sort of cringe to them.
No,
it's the way these things are executed that makes them super cringy. Like old lady crawling into bed with you is a little bit of a trope, right?
Yeah.
Like the creepy little girl kind of trope.
Yep.
It's there, but the way they execute it is what makes it so hard to sit through. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
I think this is Ty West's, he's been around for a while and making films and mostly indie stuff. This is going to elevate him
100%.
And I think right now, we talked about this on the Chainsaw Massacre episode. Right now, If I'm LeBron James, whoever owns Friday the 13th, Ty West is my guy.
Oh yeah,
to do Friday the 13th.
Now, I remember you said that, and I now seeing that, I 100% agree. I think he will make those smart choices that make what you're trying to accomplish with something that's a stretching premise make sense. Because here's the hot take. Obviously, the movie's X. You know you're gonna get nudity, but all the nudity that was in there made sense. There was nothing gratuitous about it. It felt like it was part of the art of it, that you're like, okay, that I get it. Because don't you feel like this movie could have literally been made in 1979 and we would be talking about it in the same way that we were talking about, The Hills Have Eyes, in that same 70s eerie horror back then. The Hills Have Eyes, Mother's Day, Class of 84, that like, oh man, except they would have went probably a little bit further.
That's why this film works. It's a shoot.
Yeah.
There's no winking at the camera. There's
none.
no like, hey, remember the 70s?
Yeah.
It just does it as if this were the 70s now.
Yeah.
Even like the wipes, the transitions. There's a couple of shots. Like there's one shot that just like I almost like jumped out of my seat when I saw the shot when Mia Goth, when she first goes out to the lake and she walks out on the pier. And then there's like a super long zoom that pulls away from her and like reveals the whole lake. That's such a like 70s kind of shot.
Okay, yeah, I know.
It just nails it, and it's not trying to imitate it. It's not Grindhouse.
No.
This is the movie you watch at the Grindhouse. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's not, oh, this is fun. We're kind of revisiting. No, this movie could be inserted in 1979, except they probably would have went a little bit further back then. But I still think it would be a film that we were talking about it because it starts off great. It actually almost had like, I know this is like 69. It had like a Night of the Living Dead feel when you had that preacher on the TV that was like, okay, I feel like now I'm in a house that doesn't have AC. I'm sweating. That preacher added to it. And then I didn't see this coming. I don't know if you did. That twist coming. It's like this film was already great, and I feel like it didn't need a twist, but it added a twist in there.
So that was Mia Goth as the old lady as well, right?
I told you I was just like I thought it was somebody younger in old people makeup, but I had no idea it was her until you told me about the end credit scene, and then I circled back to that, and then I'm like, oh okay, but yeah. I did not know it when I was watching it.
So Mia Goth is the old woman at Pearl. And also on the TV, that's young Pearl, which is also Mia Goth. She plays, well, I guess 2 roles, but
yeah. So that's what I was trying to figure out. So yeah, young Pearl was the preacher's daughter,
right?
Wow. Okay. So now I didn't even know that till just now. I just
it's a franchise.
Yes, I was like now
it's an IP.
I thought it was the Mia Long character as her, that she was the stripper and that she ran away from the preachers, and now it's like, look, my daughter ran away and she became a stripper. So, but I thought it was great, man. I was just like, I'm excited for Pearl. I'm curious how they're going to really capture that, but I can't say enough. A24, well done. This was a great flick.
Ty West, man.
Yeah.
This is his official arrival, and he's been around for a while. He's paid his dues. This is the one that's going to put him into the big movie kind of discussions. If there's a big horror, I mean, man, they just did Chainsaw, but I'm sure he would kill Chainsaw. If they're doing Friday the 13th, he should do that. Between this and like House of the Devil and
The Innkeepers is another one you told me to go check out.
Yeah, The Innkeepers is pretty good. That's like it's got a Ghostbusters vibe, which is real pure. But like between this and House of the Devil, nobody can actually do a shoot 70s horror film like Ty West can. Yeah. Give him The Exorcist. Give him something big like that.
Wow, can you imagine? Yeah, because I don't know if that series is still in development or if it already happened. But yeah, I think if you would do that, because you know what it reminded me of in the beginning? Remember the first time that you saw Hustle and Flow and you saw the graphic pop up for Hustle and Flow, and it created that vibe of just like, oh, okay, this is a certain time period. He did the same thing with Black Snake Moan. Just the font choices that when he put 1970. He didn't even need to do that, but it created a moment. And then just like setting it up in the beginning when you have the Texas Rangers, they're like, oh my God, you got to see this. Like they basically set up like, oh my God, you got to see this movie. And then it ends just like, what's on this camera? Probably one hell of a horror movie. And then boom, the X popped up. I was like, wow, what great small things, but a great bookend to create that vibe.
Yeah, just beautiful movie. I can't wait to watch it again. I don't know if I'll go watch it at theater again, but as soon as it hits video, I want to.
Yeah, I'm totally all in. So check out X. All right. We're hyperspacing out.